Hello, welcome to Breakfast Central on this terrific Tuesday. We're happy to be here. This is Breakfast Central. We'll bring you the best in everything you need to know just to start your day right. Insightful discussions, in-depth analysis, and of course, the latest news and developments in Nigeria and of course, around the continent of Africa. I am Gbenga and Olive.
Are you really happy to be here?
Somehow, but I mean, they say on easy lies the head that wears the crown. Our profession is one that you could be called out of retirement or out of holidays sometimes, but it's all good. We're doing it for the love of the profession. And cheers, by the way. I miss that young man, Jonathan Hansen.
He can barely talk now.
Yes,
he's now mute.
Well, I
thought yesterday he was having a really bad throat.
I pray for speedy recovery. Are you sure he's not doing bus conductor on the side? Because how did he lose his voice?
We're sending you all the love, Joe. We hope you get better soon. And to our viewers as well, you can send him love on social media. Thank you for joining us this morning. Gbenga calls it a terrific Tuesday. I can't agree more. Today we're exploring conversations, some from yesterday, recent developments, and you also get to be a part of the show. Your voice matters, your voice counts.
Absolutely.
So when we open the phone lines, which we do every day, please call in and share your thoughts. Or if you can't wait till we open the phone lines, you can go on YouTube where we're streaming live. We'll take a few comments from time to time. We're streaming live on News Central TV's official YouTube page. And whilst streaming, please do well to subscribe. My name is Olive MOD, and you're welcome to the show.
Wow. So I feel there's something in the air somewhere. And I was going to say you're the last woman standing.
And I will forever be the last woman standing. Every evil spirit that is moving around from Lakumi to Joe to AY, our cameraman, everybody just seems to be like
actually have a cough.
I can see it.
So, but let's hope, you know, as we progress with the show, as
I cover myself with the blood.
Yeah,
the Bible says when I see the blood, I will pass over you. The cough will pass over me.
Your immune system is very strong.
Interestingly, I find that on the contrary, I typically can't get close to people who have a cold because when I do,
susceptible to
I'm very susceptible to a cold. And a cold makes me feel proper ill. Like you think I have the type of illness that will make you maybe go to the hospital, right? So
I like your use of words. I mean, you're a journalist and you have to be professional. You know, somebody said he failed to show up. I think it was in the UK for work, and he said I was strong. He was writing. I mean, please, Nigerians, you need to understand the colloquial and context and places you are. When you're in Rome, you behave like a Roman.
In the UK,
how do you expect somebody in the UK at your workplace to expect that?
They are strong.
No, you are strong. That's why you are not even coming to work. I am strong. It doesn't mean you're wishing bad things on yourself. It's just the situation of things. You are ill, you're ill.
No, we are a religious society. So if you say that here, the average person understands what you're trying to say. But in the UK, please don't say that. I'm a bit unwell. I'm under the weather.
Exactly.
There's several things to
under
say.
The weather is even better than I'm sick or I'm ill. You know, I'm under the weather.
I'm under the weather.
Which one is I'm strong?
I'm strong.
I'm strong. No, I'm strong.
No, that's on the Let the Weak see. I am strong.
Oh, I see.
That's why.
Okay.
It's faith.
Well.
Okay, one person who's not mincing words, you're not trying to misinterpret what she's saying because she's saying it clearly. She's not saying she's strong when she's actually weak. Is the former First Lady of Nigeria, Patience Jonathan, who has clearly shared her displeasure, disinterest, her lack of intention to return to Aso Rock. She says when you escape that place, you should be thankful to God that you escaped. That was she going back there. She wants peace of mind. I didn't say it. Let's take a look at this video.
Now for Villa, I won't go there. I won't go there. Don't you see how young I am? Because the stress is so much. The stress of Nigeria is so much. If God managed to bring you out of it, you should glorify God. And thank God for the Lord's doing. Because He's marvelous in His eyes. He has taken you there once. Why do you want to go there again? Yeah, I won't go.
May God bless us indeed. I mean, who doesn't need peace in their lives?
I tell you. You know,
Who
there's
would
one
have
thing.
thought that in the history of Nigeria, there will come a time where people will be scared or skeptical about running for the highest office in the land?
That's one.
Yeah.
Two, who would have known that the day will come back when people will look back and say, we miss Patience, Jonathan.
Yes. And we really do miss
Yes.
her. Yes, she
We
was
miss her for
a
several
real
reasons.
mother of the nation, and she cared about, you could tell that she was very sensitive to the plight of ordinary Nigerians.
Say what you want. Remember the Chibok schoolgirls?
Oh, yes.
You know, and the empathy with which she handled that matter. A number of people will say it's theatrics. Call it what you like, but she, even if you say it's theatrics, she did the theatrics. There are a number of people whose body language already shows that they don't care. Right. So one is that she gave us a lot of sound bites. She was a very,
absolutely,
very
week in,
hilarious
week out,
woman.
yeah.
Very hilarious woman, also very confident. But I must applaud her. Beyond her position as former First Lady, she's decided to also, I mean, she's now a PhD holder, I believe. She's gone back to school. You can see that there's a drive and a fire within her. But she should tell us there's something that she saw in Aso Rock that makes her not want to go
she
back.
said it, the stress of Nigeria is too much. Why do you, can't you see the way I'm looking younger? Because all that headache is off our head and our table, and our husband's table. But then the big question is, she's not the one that Nigerians want to vote for. She's not the one that they've been lobbying. She's not the one that people like Abi Baruna have said is the joker for the PDP. It's her husband, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. So he will be in a position to decide if he's running or not. But from the look of things, and I told Mr. Abi Baruna that, look, from the things I've seen, it's very likely that he will not come out to contest, especially going against an incumbent at this point in time. He will not. Yeah.
There's really, I mean, I think why people are carrying some measure of weight to what she would say is because we know how, in the typical Nigerian context, when a person says something and their spouse says something else, especially when they, you know how they will say, now madam, when they say the CEO is the real madam, how madam can influence Oga
the real decision maker.
The real decision maker, not because Oga doesn't have a say, but because, you know, sometimes, because of love, people would often defer to what their partners want. But again, politics is beyond a game of love and fondness. Nigerians have reacted to this. Let's take Nigerians' reactions and then we'll come back to talk about it some more. On X, of course, they have been reacting. Sammy says, indirect talk. You and your husband, too weak to rule Nigeria, especially now APC have more structure than before. That's how Tinubu's wife said they are not after our money. But now every day they borrow with different billing formats. Ma'am, please, you and your husband should rest. Make Obi try luck. All right, away from Sammy, let's have another tweet.
Thomas Crown says, now we case suppose marry this woman, then we just they give us premium content. I mean, come on.
Wow.
Thomas Crown, I don't understand.
Anyway, Thomas Crown, that's Thomas Crown's tweet. Jonathan has been attending many public events with his second wife, and that's what prompted this patient statement, because it is the turn of the second wife. This is from Voice of Conscience.
Politically speaking, from the second wife perspective, since she's never been First Lady, do you think she would support former President Jonathan?
Of course. Who doesn't like power? Especially because it's an opportunity for you to taste it firsthand.
Yeah. Anyanwu Victor says she can't even sit down in their home and discuss non-acceptance towards allowing her husband to participate. She came in public to pass this message. Are they not living together?
Well, I don't know that. Maybe I will need to watch the video again, but I think people may have asked her. And of course, she said these speculations. And people would always, journalists, individuals would never miss out on an opportunity to speak on certain issues, to get information.
Deeper. Yeah.
Exactly. However, there are people who have criticized the potential return of President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to politics. One of them is Keyamo and Chidiodin Kalu. They have spoken about the potential and the risk factor attached to this, saying that it might be an issue constitutionally, a matter that would get to the Supreme Court. They've given several reasons as to why there is a quote-unquote, and the word risk was highlighted. However, I mean, I'm just going to give you a brief run-through. It says, Keyamo and Odinkale had urged the PDP not to hand its ticket to Jonathan, arguing that his return bid will face legal obstacles since he had already been sworn in twice as president. Remember, after the death
but the circumstances are different. We know he completed the tenure of former president.
So their
Yar'Adua.
arguments, the potential arguments might be that every president, anyone who runs for president, the highest office, should not be able to have served more than 8 years. But if you calculate the first time he filled in former President Yar'Adua's years with
Plus
the first
it would make it
added
10
together,
years.
you know, and then if he comes back, it's going to be that he would have served for, I think, 9 years-ish, thereabouts. So it's going to be a lot more than the prescribed time that the Constitution
Yeah, but
has.
these are extraordinary circumstances.
Well, it is the court that will decide that's not me and you. So they worry, so they're sort of
they can
fearing
contest
that it will be legal
in
battles,
court.
and that what will happen is, at the end of the day, the PDP may end up going to the polls with no candidate if the court does invalidate the position of former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan.
But not from a defensive position, seeing that he could be a threat to the APC presidency.
Of course, definitely.
Of course.
There's that.
So
There's definitely that. But
Yeah.
people would always bring up an argument that would...
The legal basis.
Exactly.
I
But
mean, personally, I feel he's been a goodwill ambassador for Africa. He's been on a few peace missions. He's been on electoral observer missions on the African continent. He's now regarded as an elder statesman. And many people praise him for the way in which he handed over. He made that congratulatory call to late President Buhari as a Democrat worthy of emulation. So he's in a sainthood mood, and he's revered right now, and you wouldn't want to rubbish that in the murky waters of Nigerian politics. So he might want to just preserve the status quo and also weighing his chances. You're only going, why do you think President Tinubu never contested any elections since he was elected governor of Lagos State in 1999? He had to wait for his chances to be sure. And when he did contest, he won.
just to mention that there's been a response to Keyamo and Chidi Odenkalu, and this time they said it was issued on Monday by his brother Azibala Robert. That Jonathan, I don't know if I can count him as Jonathan's spokesperson, but that he dismissed their concerns. Writing on his verified Facebook page, he says, "Dear Festus Keyamo SAN, Chidi Odenkalu Prof, I greet you both." And then he goes to state a number of things. Rule 1, do not offer legal advice where none is solicited.
Wow.
Ella. And then
Must be
says,
fresh from the NBA conference.
please note, GH is 100% constitutionally and legally qualified to contest if he chooses to. If he decides not to yield to the overwhelming calls to run, it will not be because he's unqualified. Your unsolicited legal view is not of any concern to him and will never be. Don't waste your precious time dwelling on this. In other words, your opinion has been duly noted.
Wow.
You know when they tell you your opinion has been duly noted?
Legal view, it's been noted. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been duly noted. They'll pick the opinion and throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Anyway. Moving on from that story, our next story on Wake Up Conversations this morning, a man who's been in the news for a while now, who's had to face charges of terrorism, has now been made to face the court. He's been charged to court and now jailed for 6 years. We're talking about Simon Ekpa, who has been a pro-Biafra advocate from Finland. He's been advocating for the freedom and the liberalism or the liberalization of the Biafra people. He's been at the forefront, and his actions have sparked some measure of criticism, even though he's garnered a huge amount of support
And followership.
But it would seem that he'll be spending 6 years in prison. Let's take a look at this video. All right.
But let's I think we should share our opinions first before we take reactions. I mean, we live in a social media age, and the things you say carry a lot of weight.
Yes.
And you're not just confined to the borders of where you're broadcasting from. And these things travel far and wide across nations and have serious implications, including national security implications. And that's why people advocate for the responsible use of social media. If you feel your people are oppressed and you're fighting or marginalized, or you're fighting for their liberation, there are very constitutional ways of going about it. And if you look at the history of the world, I mean, there are countries that have taken referendum and have separated. Bosnia and Herzegovina are now 2 countries. You look at Sudan and South Sudan on the African continent. You don't have to go to war You could have referendum. You could have lobby groups. You could also appeal to your representatives to write a motion in Parliament to call for this. And there are ways of going about it. But by broadcasting hate, pitching one ethnic group against the other, using derogatory language would not really help your cause. And this is it, regardless of where you are across the world. I think it was Elizabeth Joyce, aka Portable, that said, after God, now government. Government to governments have ways of cooperating regardless of where you are. There's no safe sanctuary, and I don't think any responsible government like Finland would allow you incite violence in their territory and not do anything about it.
Right.
And the Nigerian government reached out to them and said, look, this man is causing a lot of harm in, the sit-at-home orders, the threat to Nigeria's unity and all of that. And he had his day in court, and I guess the Finnish courts decided what to do, and they finished the case. That's why they gave him six years sentence.
Finnish court finished the case.
But he's lucky he's not been extradited to Nigeria. I think the jail conditions in Finland, sadly to say, is better than, let me know if
it's not sadly to say. The jail conditions will most likely be better than him coming to Kirikiri.
Of course, and better than some postgraduate hostels in Nigeria. Honestly speaking, you just need to watch documentaries on the Scandinavian jail system and also in Finland.
Really
but
sad.
There's a question of what happens after he served his
So there are two things that comes to mind, right? First of all, Simon Ekpa was charged, and he wasn't charged as a social commentator. The court held that he used his social media following and used it to wield that influence to spark for separatist movements here in Nigeria. The speed, accuracy, and manner in which the Finnish court started this case and finished it is something that should be emulated by the Nigerian courts. Where we have, every other day we're hearing stories about people who are maybe charged with terrorism. The other time we hear of lists, we see people who are being investigated for the longest time.
But sometimes you lawyers also contribute to the lengthy manner of some of those cases. I'm not seeking for one annulment or the other, or you need to study this or new evidence and all of that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not disputing the fact. I do think that there's a lot of work that needs to be done by a judiciary, but also the government has a huge role to play.
Absolutely.
When it comes to investigating influential figures. Understand that justice is blind. It doesn't recognize influence, it doesn't recognize fame, neither does it recognize money. And the Finnish court have set a thorough example in that regard. Again, I don't think that it might be, again, bring up the conversation about the Biafra movement and the agitation of the Biafra people. And for what is worth, is it something that might be worth having a conversation or a referendum or some sort? Why? Because it feels like you nip a head and there are several others that come up. I don't think it's necessarily about a person, but it is an ideology. An ideology in the sense that, and that's not to in any way support the movement of Simon Ekpa and, if he's calling for terrorism or violence, no. What we're saying is,
if people feel marginalized and they don't want to be part of the federation,
exactly, maybe it's time to have a conversation to address that division that is being felt by a number of these people and why they feel left out. Because Nnamdi Kanu arrested, Simon Ekpa arrested. Tomorrow, some other person may come up. At the end of the day, there is a movement that has been set, and regardless of who heads that movement, I don't think that it's necessarily about who heads it as much as what is the agitation. It's unfortunate that just like with every movement, religious and otherwise, there are extremists who may have a valid cause, a valid concern, but then they take it to the extreme and do crazy things, and then there will be implications for that. But then let's take the reactions of Nigerians to the news about Simon Ekpa being jailed for 6 years for terrorism. Chief Njoku says Simon Ekpa has been sentenced to 6 years in prison in Finland. Every well-meaning Southeasterner has waited for a day like this to come. Simon Ekpa is a menace to the Igbos and a big stain on the reputation of the people in general. That's for Nemerem Njoko. The next tweet, Simon Ekpa has been sentenced to prison in Finland. A beautiful lesson. You can't manufacture terrorism and escape justice just because you think it's export only, Dozier V says. The loudest mouth just got zipped by 6 years of Nordic discipline. Justice served chilled from liberator to locked up convict in record time. Finland just showed Simon Ekpa what real law and order looks like. 6 years of cold silence in an iced zoo by Bar David Etuk. These are the reactions of Nigerians to this. Of course, if you have reactions, share with us your thoughts. In YouTube Live, we're streaming live. Drop your thoughts and let us know about this. At the end of the day, what we're preaching for is one Nigeria where everyone feels a sense of belonging. Exactly. No one feels like they are more Nigerian than the other Nigerian.
Like
because what happens is people start to exploit that feeling and then take it to the extreme, and that's why we start to have extremists in terms of religion, extremists in terms of tribe and
absolutely.
The likes.
And some of the reasons why people say this is because of the government projects and the way it's spread across the country. Yesterday, Mr. President was forced to delete a tweet because the presidency came up with an infographic on the spread of projects around the country, and somewhere, I don't know if they were deliberately omitted, Lagos State wasn't part of the Southwest projects that were listed in that infographic. Some regions had projects that weren't meant for them listed. It was a very tacky infographic, but kudos to the presidency for taking that down. And look, we're in an information age. Things can be fast-tracked, can be fact-checked in seconds. You're dealing with very smart and tech-savvy people, so if the presidency is going to release information, they should make sure that it's devoid of falsehoods or deliberate omissions, so that you won't have the total blowback that message caused yesterday. And in dealing with Nigerians, we're one people. Let the goodies spread and let everybody feel a sense of belonging in the country, in this great country of ours. Yeah.
All right, and now coming to a final story this morning. News circulating in the media, social media space, would be that there have been quiet revocations of valid US visas, and that there hasn't been any particular reason given for these quiet revocations. It would seem that a number of people have been asked to submit their visa to the consulate in Lagos or in Abuja, and after submitting their passports rather, they then realize that their visas have been revoked. And these visas have been revoked for no specific reason. The only thing they're being told is that they received additional information. And they cite Title 20.
This must be the most heartbreaking thing.
It must. They cite Title 22 CFR Part 41.122. And this provides, I'm going to just break it down, what this rule allows the US to do in terms of cancelling visas, even after they've been issued. It says, first, and I'm going to break it down in
Title
regular
22,
English.
right?
Yes, Title 22, CFR Part 41.122. First, any US consular officer or the Secretary of State can revoke a visa at any time without needing a court or other authority. There's a thing called provisional revocation. While investigating a case, the visa can be suspended, and if everything checks out, it can be returned to its original validity. For those using the EVO system, non-compliance automatically suspends your visa until you fix the issue. The person may or may not be told directly, but once the revocation is in the system, the visa is invalid, period. Consular officers usually stamp revoked on the visa, but even without a stamp, the visa is cancelled in the eyes of the law. And finally, even US immigration officers like airport officials can cancel your visa
even
if
at
certain
the point
events
of,
occur, such as deportation orders or admission problems. So in entirety, what they're doing is within their power to do.
Yeah.
So now the question is...
Olive, Title 22 CFR, oh bad go.
Oh, bad go. So, you know, the sad part would be that reports have it that the people who have been affected are people who seemingly have very clean records, that haven't flouted immigration laws, who are respectable persons in the society.
That
And some
haven't
of them,
overstayed.
Exactly. Some of them
So
are finding
it
out
looks-
at the airport when they're
After
about to
buying
travel. You bought
tickets,
tickets,
the
you're going for
logistics,
something, maybe summer.
Maybe
People are going for
hotel
summer.
bookings. It's really sad.
And then you're at the airport and then you say,
I
unfortunately.
mean, the United States behavior under the Trump presidency is nothing less than, it's not admirable at all. They're not acting like that bastion of democracy and freedom that they used to be known as. I mean, this is just ridiculous. People paid exorbitant fees to get their visas, they got their visas, and under the guise of, you have the right to revoke visas, you're not giving them valid reasons. At least let them have some sort of closure as to why you're revoking their visas. If it's something that has to do with national security or some other issues, but I think the right thing to do is...
Well, it's national security that is being cited.
Be specific. How is that individual connected to being a risk? How is that individual that you've revoked their visas a risk to your national
Maybe they've
security?
given the person visa and later find out that the person has made some kind of hate speech on social media, or the person has supported or enforced terrorism. So
I mean, if this person has not overstayed their visas,
oh, I support this person, even in your rights to freedom of expression, your visa can be revoked.
Just this last week, the United States hosts the United Nations General Assembly. It's seen as a neutral body, as the United Nations, this world governing body where the League of Nations come together to speak about issues in the world. Never in the past, even if you don't like these leaders, they get to speak at the podium. They are granted...
Are you about to talk about Mahmoud Abbas?
Yes, Mahmoud Abbas and the entire Palestinian Authority leadership were denied visas.
Yes.
And the last time this happened in the 80s, when Yasser Arafat, the late PLO leader, was denied visa to the United Nations in America, the General Assembly had to move to Switzerland. So the United States is really abusing privileges at this time.
So it's important that you mentioned what you mentioned, because some people have asked, why is Nigeria personalizing it? Why are we making it about ourselves? Regardless of the fact that we don't like it, it's not something that they're doing just to Nigeria. They're doing it to as many nations as possible.
It still doesn't make it right.
So, so at the end of the day, am I excited about it? Of course not. We're not excited about it because it's even a lot of money that Nigerians are paying to go to the US.
Exactly.
Our naira is way, way weaker than their dollar. Whenever I have to travel abroad and you're doing the conversions, your body will be biting you. But you know that's why you come back home and you work so hard, and then you change it to foreign currency, you go abroad.
Imagine 45 pounds is 100,000 naira.
Imagine.
Just 45
Imagine.
to 100,000.
So it's not the most convenient thing. However, you can't tell a nation how it should run its affairs. I think it's a wake-up call for Nigeria to also fix our country, so that we too can be able to make certain strong, bold statements. There have been speculations. The US hasn't clearly said that, they've not in any way endorsed that there's any diplomatic tension between Nigeria and the US. But I've seen those who have speculated that it might have been because of Nigeria's stance regarding being a third-party country to receive deported foreigners like the Venezuelans and the likes.
We refused.
Our refusal. It might be that. There are people who speculate that.
I mean, it's possible.
But they've clearly said that there's no diplomatic tension. And Donald Trump always said, make America great again.
So
Like,
let's
we always
make
put
Nigeria
America first. So I think it's important that every country in Africa, in Asia, countries now think about their citizens and put their citizens first, so that when we're visiting any other country, it's a thing of a privilege, right? Everybody's excited, and there's a mutual respect between both countries. But let's see how Nigerians are taking this news on social media. Honorable Ayodele Makawal says, when a country has no real ambassadors, only corruption, nepotism, terrorism, and injustice, how can you expect other nations to welcome its citizens with open arms? People rig elections, wreck the economy, borrow endlessly, and steal public funds with no accountability. Yet, somehow, they're surprised when borders are closed or visas are denied. Right now, the rate of people leaving Nigeria, Japa, is the highest it's ever been. And the leaders don't even flinch. But then we turn around and expect America to keep letting us in, even when many plan to overstay. No worries, I beg. At this rate, soon everyone will be stuck here. And maybe then we'll be forced to stay and fix the mess we keep running from. Meanwhile, Remember, a better Nigeria is possible. We see what you did there.
Yeah, Ayodele is not even addressing the issue. It's gone very political.
It's only an African and Nigerians in particular that will be running from country to country looking for places where the people stood to fix the countries, refused to give birth recklessly and blame it on God to feed them, hold their government accountable and not blindly support politicians along religion or tribal lines, but by pure competence. Our people will get to these countries and either export their negative influence or encourage vices at home for people to keep supporting same bad leaders that send them all scattered abroad. If I have the means, I wish they cancel the PR and valid visas of all Nigerians in the Western world. Let us all come home and force for referendum. Divided Nigeria along the 3 major ethnic lines before the country implode. Wahala. Nigeria is cheaper than US. Why does anyone need to travel to the US?
I didn't. No. Parts of the United States, the quality of, that are cheaper than.
So this person is not putting all factors. When you're talking about whether a country is cheap, you're not just saying this phone will cost £1,500 in the US, but here you buy it for 800,000.
There are different factors.
Or here, there are several factors. You look at how much they're earning. But anyway, I think the moral of the story is everybody needs to fix their country and put their country first. And you can't tell another person how to run their home at the end of the day. That's all that we have on Wake Up Conversations, but that's not all we have this morning on the show. Let's now share with you what our top stories are this morning on Breakfast Central. Our top stories this morning. Wike defends Rivers State local government polls, rejects calls for annulment. Yesterday, he granted a media chat. We were talking about that. And he has also gone ahead to warn about the return of Peter Obi to the PDP, saying it will lead to its destruction. Edo State PDP rejects proposed local government poll, cites legal electoral process. Widows of slain heroes cry out over neglect. This is really sad. The newspaper front pages will be a part of the show, and you can call in to be a part of our virtual analysis. Stay with us.